All right, when we approach lateral vehicles, initial objective is what?
4 points of contact.
4 points of contact. What does the vehicle naturally want to drift towards? Undercarriage side or roof side?
Roof side.
Right. That is much or greatly diminished with boxy vehicles like sport utilities and minivans. So if we just look at these two vehicles, you can see the dramatic difference between the resting rate of a narrow roof profile and a boxy roof profile. Everybody follow that? Much more unstable, much more stable. So for our initial 4 points of contact, stay out of your extrication zones. Small wedge packs here and there. Go around to the roof side. Wedge packs, A post, C post, fender line, and quarter panel, okay? Once you got your 4 points of contact in, if you know you're gonna potentially lift, then you wanna rig this up, analyzing everything from a pivot point and a lifting point. You never wanna have to lift the whole load. Always make it easier on yourself and try and pivot off one point and lift off of one point. So just thinking about the way the vehicle is naturally designed and the way victims are going to probably be oriented if this thing falls. We've got victims on the bottom side with potential arm entrapments or head entrapments under the roof line, under the B post, the C post, or the side wall of the van, or the A post, right? We're not going to have anything typically trapped under the engine compartment, and the engine compartment is the heaviest or lightest part of the vehicle. So what do you think your pivot point's going to be? Yep, so this is going to stay to ground. Now, we don't want this to kick forward when we try and lift from the rear, so we're going to want to take one of the big wedges and drive it under the front bumper or the nose of the vehicle. That's going to give us a good capture point to keep this from sliding when we start lifting off the rear end. A minimum of 3 points of lifting contact or progress capture contact is the objective, following that triangulation. But when I do these evolutions, I'm typically going to create a 4-point buttress. So we're going to throw 4 struts on this. For this evolution today, you guys are going to put the green Paratech VSTs at the front of the vehicle. So you're going to go to frame rail, and you're going to go to A post and fender junction. Remember, when you're on 2 articulating lines like an A post and a fender, you want to bisect that angle. Don't come straight into the fender, don't come straight into the A post. Try and find that happy marriage right into that pocket. We're going to attach this base plate to that base plate using the integrated ratchet straps on the VSTs. Just interlock those 2 hooks, and then we're going to tension both those up. That's going to draw both of those towards the vehicle. That gives us good stabilization from a vertical perspective, but nothing this way, right? We're then going to take 2 Rescue Tech struts, throw them in on the rear of the vehicle. We're going to put one at a framing component back here, one on the roof side, and we're going to create a purchase point in the roof line for that strut on that side using hand tools. Once those are both in, we're going to tension those 2 together. Once those 2 are tensioned together, on the top side, we're going to run an additional ratchet strap from that base plate to this green Paratech on the top side. Everybody follow me? When we tension those up, the Paratechs don't have a rigging ring on them or any element that you can effectively rig multiple points to. So we're going to wrap the base of that strut to tie in our ratchet strap that's going laterally on it. Everybody follow that? Okay. On this side, we're going to use the chain hoist assembly, which you may not even need the black chain. You may have enough chain within the chain hoist to directly tension this base plate to that base plate. Once we've got our basically box system set up and all those base plates are tensioned, then we're going to start our additional lifting sequences, which is our progression of wedge lift, lever lift, hydraulic lift, pneumatic lift. Everybody good? Now, a lot of times you have to initiate a wedge lift to get your tensioning elements passed under the vehicle when you're doing a system like this. So we're going to take a big wedge, we're going to put it on the rear end of the vehicle. Once we've got this front end stabilized, we're going to drive that big wedge in, get a little bit of lift out of the rear of the vehicle so that we can get that strap passed underneath the vehicle to go from base plate to base plate. Everybody good? Once those are tensioned, we're all good. We'll capture what we've gained, get a little bit more out of that wedge, then we'll pull that wedge, we'll throw a lever under there, we'll lever, we'll capture progress mechanically on those rear struts, then we'll pull that lever out, go to a hydraulic spreader, do a spreader lift, capture that progress. Then we're throwing airbags in, and we're going to do the advanced segment where we combine the airbags with the Rescue Tech struts pneumatically, and they will automatically chase the load and automatically come down with the load. Any questions about what we're going to do? If you imagine grabbing that base plate, running through this base plate as a traveling point and over to this base plate, when I tension that up, that's going to automatically draw this one in more than it's going to tension those. Does that make sense? And if I lose a leg, if I lose one base plate, any component, all three of those just lost tension, or all four of those just lost tension. So a common wrap, I'm a much bigger advocate of killed tensioning segments between base plates. You got any other opinions on that, Timmy? When we're creating purchase points for struts on a roof line like this, you always want to have a big picture concept of extrication zone, right? So we don't want to put that strut midpoint. We put that strut midpoint, then we just reduce our roof access to either a dual-sided flap, whatever it is. This is not going to move once we've got it pressurized as a stabilization point, right? So using that A-post and fender line junction and then coming back here, we want to try and keep this relatively in line and across from the one we're throwing on the bottom side. That is a challenging strut placement because usually the rear axle assemblies and those suspension components don't have as clean of a frame rail line to access for your strut as you do towards the front of the vehicle. So start on the bottom side, take some time to analyze where you're going to put that strut in, and then just create a basic assimilation of where you're going to tie that strut in on this top side. Everybody follow that? Okay, now we need to create a purchase point for that strut so it's not just in sheet metal somewhere that's going to shear if we load. So we want to get near a structural element, which is this roof rail. We're going to bring in our hand tools. I'll show you what you're going to do, and then two, you're going to do it. Some guys like to start with the point just to create that initial hole. You're going to put the point there, one guy's going to strike. Once you get that initial hole established, then you're going to take this end, you're going to set it into the hole, you're going to get out of the way, and you're going to let a guy hit. Make sure that you're using good forcible entry commands. You know what I mean? Hit, 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 hit. Drive this on a straight line that's basically going to rip this like a can. You got one clean cut there. Once that's established, take this right here. If you pull out this way, it's going to open up this bottom flange and pressurize in that top flange. If you do the opposite, using your forked end, it's going to start to push that in, which is ultimately what we want to initially accomplish if we can get the head of the strut right in there. If you can't and you need to create a larger pocket, these Halligans are designed with the forked end to rip that down. So you're going to get the forked end into that cut, start it down this way, and then you're just going to pry it down, and it's going to rip a line right through the sheet metal. Keep building that down, and then splay that out. You'll be able to see where your rail's at. Get the head of your strut placed in there, and you're good. Does that make sense? Now, you can also rip it going the other direction once you got the start. So take this, put it in this way, and start ripping it out that way. Get a new bite.
Just keep going or you get past that?
Yeah, once you start going at an angle, it kind of starts to fall apart. But start in that new hole you made and see if you can get, there you go. Good. Put your ads in there and let him just drive you through all that. Watch your hands, don't cut your hands.
Hit. 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 You can do that with the other tip, right?
Yeah. Other way, that's all right. If you turn it the other way so that you're captured on the inside of that groove.
Oh, it'll keep it straighter instead of going out.
And then just hold your position. See the difference? There you go. Okay. If we look up inside, we're going to feel it. You can feel your roof rail right inside of where this luggage rack ties in. So if we throw our strut right here, there's no shear, there's no travel. It's a great structural capture point. Make sense? Okay. Quick tidbit for you guys. Before you start lifting the front, with the wedge, what's it going to do to the rear end?
Push it down.
Yes. The rear end typically has a little more articulation to it that allows you to slide the ratchet strap underneath it without getting your lift on. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I will typically get this ratchet strap, even if it's on kind of a bow, because I'll get it started so that I've got a lot less to lift to try and get that to tension up and travel under the vehicle and get in line. Everybody follow that? So let's get this rear one on, going from strut to strut. Let's get one on going from base plate to base plate here. When we start tensioning these, we're going to tension them till the base plate starts to shift. As soon as the base plates start to shift, stop. Get the next one in. Tension it. Base plate shifts, stop. Work all your way around till they're all lightly tensioned, and then you can do final adjustments on them. Okay, good. How are you on this side? A little loose. Okay. Because of the contour of those quarters, it'll just kind of slide through it. Depends on what surface it's on.
Okay.
Dirt helps. Nice. Asphalt and concrete, not as easy.
Not as much. Okay. Yeah, I did not think that would go under there. All right, stop.
If you know you're going to convert your Rescue Tech struts into a pneumatic chase, you ideally want to have those black collars dialed out at least halfway. We'll explain it later, but if they're not dialed out halfway and you max them out accidentally, you have no way to bring them back down unless you've played out some collar. Everybody follow that? Okay.